Welcome to the Priority Lane podcast, the show where we explore the power of prioritising and how real growth can be achieved by doing less, but doing it better. I'm your host, Nigel Catt, and each episode I sit down with successful people to uncover how they filter out the noise and focus on what really matters. Today on the podcast, we're joined by Jonathan Kwon from South Korea. Jonathan studied hospitality management in Edinburgh, Scotland, and became the first Korean manager in Edinburgh Marriott Hotel. After Edinburgh, he returned to Korea and started a number of franchise businesses, mainly in the F&B space. One brand alone, Jonathan opened 350 franchisee shops from 2005 to 2010. After more than 10 years in the franchise industry, Jonathan turned his focus to the modular and prefabricated homes market, an area which he believes is the future of the construction business. Jonathan currently operates his modular and prefabricated business and strongly believes that this business is the game changer in the construction business. Jonathan, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
No problems at all. No problems at all. Now, I was fortunate enough to spend a week in South Korea a few years ago. Now, it was November, and it was very cold,
November.
unseasonably cold. What's it like over there today?
It's getting better, but it was freezing last week, -12, -15 something. But it's
Wow.
now approaching to the summer. No, spring, actually.
Okay, approaching spring. Okay, Jonathan, just going through your achievements and experiences, you've been involved in a lot of businesses. In your experience, what do you see as the main elements that makes a successful business?
It's always difficult question, right? Uh, Trying to see the trends and the future of each business area. For example, for the franchise business I did, that time the dessert market, the coffee market was expanding rapidly. So I thought, simple bakery plus coffee might be good. So I opened the first store and try to expand the franchisee business. And I opened the 350 shops, something like that. And now I'm in the totally different housing market, which I started 5 years ago. But I prepared this business for 5 years, so it's total 10 years. And I saw the future of the construction business is in the modular and the prefabricated, especially the eco-friendly passive house market. That's why I choose this business. And then it is always important to see the future and trends, and also, the business ethics, which I consider most important. Whatever business you are doing, you have to
Yeah.
be honest, and then you have to be good to your clients. That is very important elements in the successful business, I guess.
Yeah, okay. Okay, so I mean that's interesting what you said. So the franchise business was in food and beverage. Now you're in something completely different. So the industry doesn't you're not tied to one industry. You just have a look for the trends and see where the opportunities are and then go to that industry.
Yeah, that's right. And then it is quite tough to do the F&B business in Korea nowadays because of government policies, and the labor cost is very high. I know labor cost in Australia is very high, but
Yeah.
your retail pricings are much higher than the Korea. That's why the owners of the small businesses are really struggling. And
Yeah.
I probably, let's say 15 years ago, it was much better. But after the government policies becoming strict for employees, not employers, so it is quite difficult to do the business in the F&B area anymore.
Okay, so they're strict on employees, not
Yeah.
employers. Wow, that's interesting. That
Yeah,
sort of goes against the grain of a lot of governments around the world. It's normally the
that's right.
employers.
Yeah. I think the minimum wage raised up to 50% in the recent
Oh,
7 years, something like that. So, it's quite difficult. And then in Korea, the percentage of small business are quite high compared to other countries. But at the end of the day, people complain that small business people complain that, you are paying rent, you are paying wages, and then you end up nothing.
yeah.
That's
Yeah.
that's typical Korean food and beverage business nowadays.
Right,
Mm.
okay. Okay. So faced with those challenges,
Hmm.
we spoke about what are the important elements of a business, but just as important and even maybe more so important, what do you see as important elements for a person to take on a business? So, for example, what drives you to continue striving in business?
That is also tricky questions. Actually, uh, I am not a person who is afraid of learning things at all, right? I haven't studied construction. I haven't worked construction area for whole my life at all. But when I saw the chance of making business in this area, I decide to learn as much as I can. And then I spent 5 years preparing this business. And then, I contacted so many modular and prefabricated homes companies in Europe, even in Australia, New Zealand, USA, and everywhere, and try to get the information from them, and then try to see what is the future of this business. And now, let's say I've been doing this business for already 5 years, and then before I started, I was a bit hesitating because I didn't have funds to start. But luckily, I met one guy who is willing to build a house with me, and that was became my model house. And then luckily, that house was on TV, and my company becomes quite popular in the
Oh,
construction area.
yeah.
Yeah, that's how it goes, Nothing was planned actually, to be honest with you. But uh, whatever you try really hard, the chances are always coming.
Yeah.
So I grabbed this opportunity and I started business.
Wow. Well, that's a lot of commitment. So 5 years research,
Hmm.
and researching the industry, and how I mean, there's a lot of information around nowadays about everything. Like with the internet, you can get it
Yep,
information on just about anything.
that's right.
During that research phase, I guess there was conflicting information, or there's a lot of noise around. How were you able to sort of focus on what information is important and what information can be trusted
Hmm.
as opposed to other stuff? There's a lot of false information out there as well. How were you able to siphon through the noise and get to the heart of what really mattered?
That always comes to the experience, right? Uh, I spend around 12 hours in Google every single day, including
Wow.
weekends. And then I contacted so many companies, mainly in Europe, right? And then I was getting the design, and then I was also getting the pricing for prefabricated panels and thicknesses, and then windows and stuff like that. Then I try to compare which information is something I can trust, right?
Yeah.
And then, you know, thousands of companies are there. So it always take a lot of time to compare the which information is totally trustable.
Yeah.
Then, I met around, let's say, 10 companies who are very interested in exporting houses to Korea. And then I start communicating with them deeply, and I checked every single information. Fortunately, I had experiences in importing a lot of stuffs to Korea, including cosmetics and food and stuffs like that. So
Hmm.
that helped me a lot. And then I try to compare construction cost in Korea and construction costs when I imported houses from Europe. Then I thought this business is lucrative. But now it's a different story. After 5, 6 years, the transportation cost becomes really high. And then the companies I worked in Europe, they start exporting houses to Sweden, Norway, Iceland, England, and they can actually charge much higher prices than exporting houses to Korea. But over the 5, 6 years, I actually learned the technology, how to make panels for the house, how to insulate efficiently for the houses, how to build passive houses, stuff like that. So it's always slow, but at the end of the day, you can learn everything if you want.
Wow. Wow, that's incredible. So you are less reliant
Hmm.
on the suppliers and exporters now, is that correct?
Yeah, that's right.
Wow, okay. Okay. Well, I mean, that's a thing in business, isn't it? Nothing stays the same.
No,
What's true in one day could change the next day, and a lot
absolutely.
of it's out of your hands.
Absolutely. So you have to
Now
be ready for the changes.
yeah, 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 and
Definitely.
it sounds like you are.
I'm trying. I'm
Now
trying. Yeah.
now, each episode, Jonathan, we delve into a quirky historical fact of the month that we happen to be in, which is February.
Hmm.
So this episode is something quite bizarre, and I'm guessing you may have heard of this company. Um, let me tell you something. The best-selling spirit brand in the world isn't vodka or whiskey or tequila, it's soju.
It
And
is soju.
most people out yep, you've heard of soju?
Yeah, of course. Which I'm drinking every day, actually. Yeah.
Well, I'm guessing most people outside of Asia have barely heard of it.
Hmm.
The number one spirit brand on the planet is Jinro, a Korean soju company selling over 100 million 9-liter cases a year.
Is this
To
so?
put that in
Incredible, eh?
to put that into perspective, that's more volume than many of the big Western liquor brands combined. Now, the crazy part, for years, over 90% of those sales came from one country, South Korea.
That's right.
Yeah, a country with a population of just over 50 million currently.
Hmm.
So this wasn't global dominance in a traditional sense. This was domestic saturation at an almost unbelievable scale that means it dominated global sales.
Hmm.
Now, for the tie-in for February, this started, or the precursor of this was in February 1965 after the Korean War. The government banned rice-based alcohol because of food shortages.
Hmm.
Producers had to pivot using sweet potatoes and other starches instead of rice. This ban led to the ultra-successful modern soju. That regulation forced mass industrialization, leading to lower costs, standardized production, and hyper-efficient distribution. Today, soju is embedded in Korean business culture. It's more than a drink. You don't just drink it, you ritualize it. You pour for your superior, you turn your head when drinking in front of them, deals are discussed over it, hierarchy is reinforced through it. It's not just a business, it's business infrastructure.
Hmm.
Now, Jonathan, why do you think soju is so embedded in Korean culture?
You explained all the historical factors, right? But for me, I started drinking soju when I was 19.
Mm,
Reason was simple. I was a student, didn't have money enough, and
mhm,
soju was cheap. But at the end of the day, soju is not just one alcoholic drinks. It is soul of Korean, right? And then let's see the society itself in here. Korea is very, very competitive society. And then parents are crazy about kids' education. It is always so difficult to enter the university. And then, you know, for our whole life, we always have stresses in education, getting a job, promoting yourself into the company. inside the company. Those kind of stuffs are really stressful. And then you need to get rid of that with the alcoholic drinks. And then you can't drink whiskeys every day, but you can drink soju every day, right? And you
Yeah, yeah.
experienced it already. Koreans, whatever jobs they have, they are always stressful. For example, I started working at 5:30 in the morning today
Wow.
as owner, right? And
Yeah.
then we finished working 6, 7, and then the society has been changed, and then family is also important. But you have just a couple of hours for yourself to get rid of your stress you have whole day. Right. Country economics is not very good, and you don't spend a lot of money. You can't do that. You have to spend money for the families. Then your disposable income is very small. Soju is the only choice. As simple as that for me. And then for my friends, all my friends are saying, and then nobody can drink whiskey like before. And
Yeah.
the Koreans are, youngsters drink a lot of wines and the spirits. But the generation like myself, soju is the only one I know. Of course, I lived
Okay.
in UK and I like wines, and I'm, quite familiar with wines. But still, soju is a soul of Koreans, and then it is most important thing for Koreans' daily life.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow. Okay. So is this unique to soju, or are there other products that completely dominate locally that haven't really made a splash
It is
globally?
only soju.
Only soju.
Yeah, yeah. It's only soju. So many other companies try to break the dominance of soju, but that they can't. I don't think that's going to happen in after 500 years.
Okay. You mentioned earlier that you see identification of trends and engage where the future of an industry is going. So, what did you see in your business that attracted you to the business? What were the trends you saw?
Uh, Modular homes and the prefabricated homes around 10 years ago, my senior in the construction company told me that construction business is most conservative business in Korea. And then we build houses and buildings with reinforced concrete. And
Yep.
that this senior, who was 10 years older than me, told me that modular homes, prefabricated homes, will be very unsuccessful in the Korean construction market. And I said no. I said no. But now, for the last 3 years, market has been doubled and doubled and doubled. And then it's
Really?
gonna be raising a lot of popularities. Simple construction cost for reinforced concrete is extremely high already.
Yep.
And then people have no choice, right? Economy is shit, and then they want to spend a less for the houses, and then only option is modular homes or prefabricated homes. And then unlike Korea, unlike Japan, they have wooden houses mainly,
Yep.
but the Korea reinforced concrete houses are major housing component. But now it's changing and changing every single year. And then I think this year or next year, the market will be also doubled. And the market is growing so rapidly. It is worldwide trend. Australia is same, and in Northern Europe, right? 8 houses out of 10 are built in modular or prefabricated housing. So I think the market itself is growing in everywhere in the world, and it's global business. Like what I told you, I imported houses from Northern Europe and built them here. And now some Korean companies import houses from China, Vietnam, and other developing countries and build them here. So cost is very competitive, but at the end of the day, it is 100% simple and sure that the construction market has only answer in the modular and prefabricated housing.
Okay. Now you mentioned before that due to your increased knowledge, you're less reliant on the exporters over in Europe.
Mhm.
So w how do you operate the business? Do you, uh, go straight from, the beginning to the end of the construction, or do you just concentrate on a certain part of this construction? What role does your company play in the process?
My company actually did all the drawings for the customers, and they send the drawings to the European companies, and they do produce panels and windows according to our drawings. And then I import panels and windows from there to Korea. And then I found assembly team and building team in Korea and build houses in here.
Right,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah,
okay,
yeah.
so
It is
okay, so
globally all the same, right? And then a lot of the companies are importing houses from Europe, and then they do exactly same thing which I did before.
right,
Yeah.
okay. So what do you see as the priority? So when you get up in the morning at 5:30,
Mhm.
are there a couple of main priorities in the business that you need to look after as the main part of the business?
Communication. Communication is the most important thing. I received the emails from my partners in Europe and
Mhm.
other partners in Korea. They send me emails over the night, and then especially because of the time difference in between Korea and Europe, I always check the emails very early in the morning, around 5 to 6, and then they are still working in there, and then I reply them so that I don't waste too much time with them, right? If not, if I replied email very late, one day is already gone,
Yeah.
right? So communication comes always first, and then I usually do between 5 to 6, checked all the emails and replied all the questions to my clients, and then I started marketing's perspective from 6 to 8 before my troops coming. And then, I do Facebook advertisement, Instagram, YouTube. You saw my YouTube already, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah,
I
yeah, I've
didn't
seen that.
spend even single penny. I just did it myself, you know?
Well, okay.
Yeah. Then, there are so many bloody SNS, right? TikTok and stuff like that. I know sometimes it's useless, but all the possible channels, I put my contents in it, and then that takes me around 2 hours. Then I start my day with my troops.
So do you get the bulk of your customers from that marketing that you do yourself, or do you have referral partners as well?
No, I just do everything myself. Yeah, they
Oh, wow.
they saw advertisement on usually YouTube is 50%, Instagram is 30%, and the blogs and the other SNS channels 20%. So YouTube is the main thing nowadays.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Well, what we'll do, if it's okay, we can put that YouTube video at the end of this podcast, so if people wanted to see it, they can click on there and have a
You can
look.
do that, no problem at all. Yeah.
So with exporting from Europe, how do you manage that currency, exchange risk? I guess that plays a part?
This is very good question actually. Now, Korean currency is very weak, right? And the exchange rate to dollars and euros are very, very, very low. It is really serious problem. I actually, let's say, I signed the contract with the clients in, let's say, July, and then $1 is equivalent with 1,300 Korean won. But by the time I build $1 is equivalent with 1,500 won. And I'm losing a lot of money, right?
Yeah, well, that's about a
And
15% increase.
yeah. That's why, sometimes it's hard to predict it. But nowadays, in the contract, I always put down the special clause that the exchange rate has to be applied for the all the construction cost. Yeah. That is very important. I already lost a lot of money because of exchange rate. That's why I learned lessons.
So with we've spoken about the currency risk. What are the other main obstacles facing your business, and what plans do you have to overcome them?
Okay. Actually, the modular business, modular homes and the prefabricated homes, these decent factory. Yeah. I used to have a factory, but it was labor intensive, right? Then the workers in the factory has very high salary. That's why nowadays the successful companies in the modular homes and the prefabricated homes industry has semi-automated factories or fully automated factories. But the fully automated factories cost a fortune. It's millions and millions of dollars. So, which is really unrealistic sometimes. But the semi-automated factories, which I have a solution for that, that's if I have that kind of factory, I can certainly have a much better competitive advantages in pricing and manufacturing the houses in different sizes and different ways of construction. So that is my future plan and the future hope that I can have a decent factory which can produce houses, let's say panels efficiently. Probably we'll have some standard models and then we can just manufacturing the panels and then assemble them in the different sites. That is the my next step actually. But nowadays I'm getting the panels and the houses from the different manufacturers. Of course,
Yeah,
they also should have a better profits, right? That's
yeah,
why
yeah.
the prices competitiveness is a bit weaker. So to be stronger in market, I should have a much stronger price competitiveness, I think.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yep. Okay. So getting this factory, this semi-automated factory,
Yep,
that will reduce your reliance on the exporters, or you can get rid of them at all, completely.
I can get rid of them actually.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
because
Okay.
we have technologies, so we can just import wood and there's some necessary elements for the housing, but except that we can actually manufacture everything in all kind of technologies in the factory.
Okay.
Mm.
Now, is it? I'm guessing it's not standard wood that you use. Is there a? Is it specially treated wood or
That's right.
processed
Yeah,
wood?
yeah. In Europe, we call it C24 wood, which can be used for the building the wooden houses, right? And then in the U.S. and Canada, they have different grades, which we have to import for constructing wooden houses as well. Mm,
Okay. So you would just import the raw materials at that stage, or
that's
can you
right.
get them
That's right. Yeah,
right? Okay.
yeah. Also,
Okay.
CLT, we can also import raw materials because in Korea, we can't use Korean wood at all to build houses, right? And the country is such a small,
Yeah.
you've been there, right? And then moisture in the wood is very high. That's why we can't use the Korean wood for building wooden houses in Korea. So it is inevitable to import wood from either Canada or Europe.
Right. Okay. You just mentioned CLT. Could you explain what that is?
CLT is actually in Korea nowadays. my company is the only one company which build the CLT passive houses. CLT stands for cross-laminated timber. And
Okay.
then actually the traditional timber has some weakness in the shrinkage. And then, sometimes it's not really good to fire resistance. But the CLT, you put the wood in the, you know, crossway and then laminate it and press them. And that it is much stronger than the concrete or steel. And then
Okay.
it doesn't burn.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So by today, hundreds of wooden buildings, which is, let's say, 30 stories, are currently built in everywhere in the world. But I think in Japan, next year, 79-story wooden building will be started.
Really?
79-story.
Wow.
Korean construction market is also very conservative, but we will have 14-story CLT apartment next year.
Wow.
So,
Okay.
so market is changing, and the
Yeah.
CLT is the answer to future construction market.
And that's what your factory will, if you get this factory, that's
Yep,
what your
that's
factory will be
right.
able to produce.
That's right. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Okay. And then no doubt there'll be other uses for it outside of construction potentially as well.
Yep, that's right.
Wow. Okay. Well, I
Mm,
can see why you're passionate about the business.
yep.
And as you said, looking out for future trends and jumping onto them or getting ahead of the curve.
I hope so. Yeah. That's why I'm actually talking to a couple of investors who
Okay.
are interested in setting a factory with me. And then I hope, there are some people who are interested in investing business into Korean market. But actually, it's not only for Korea. All the modular homes and the prefabricated homes companies are doing global business. Let's say
Oh,
I have so many inquiries from the States, and then they are from New York, and they are from California, and the construction cost is nearly double compared to Korea. And that they want to build houses in the cheaper prices, in the better quality, right?
right. Okay.
And then
Yep. Yep.
Australia can be good market, New Zealand can be good market, Canada and USA, even in Japan. Japan CLT price is nearly triple compared to the CLT prices I import from other European countries. So I'm also thinking about using this price gap. I can build houses in Japan by importing CLT. If I have factory in Korea, I can export CLT to Japan and then build houses in there in much competitive prices. Mm, mm,
Okay, so where, if I had to ask,
mm.
where would the business be in 5 years' time? Where do you think you will be at? What will you be doing?
5 years. Ha,
Yeah. Well, you've had 5 years
probably
of preparing, then 5 years of operation at the moment. So 5 years in the
5 years
future.
later, I see myself standing in site building 15-story CLT apartments
Hmm.
for sure. And then Korean people will admit that Jonathan is the pioneer in the CLT construction market for sure, because on the internet, it's everywhere. All the CLT information is provided by me in YouTube, Instagram. So people should know that. So I think, yeah, people will say that, okay, this guy lead the market, and then he did everything for CLT construction to change the construction market in Korea. Mm,
Well, that's great, and I wish you all the success in that, Jonathan. And we'll stay in contact
thank
and
you.
see how progress is going. And would love to have you on the show again.
Thank you. Thank you for your time.
No problems at all. And what we'll do, Jonathan, is in the outro here, we'll put your contact details there as well as that YouTube video. So if people are interested, they can
Sure.
get in contact and learn more.
No problem at all. Thank you very much.
No problems. And Jonathan, been an absolute pleasure on the to have you on the show today. So that's it for today's episode of The Priority Line. Make sure you tune in next week for a brand new edition. Thank you.
Thank you.
This episode is sponsored by My Brokers app, a white label app built specifically for financial advisors and wealth management professionals. If you want to know how you can have your own app exclusively for your business and your clients up and running by this time next week, visit mybrokers.app or download the free My Brokers demo app from your favorite app store.